Let's jump right into today's explainer on the deadly secret of a Lake Nyos. To start off, I want you to just picture something for a second. Imagine you're standing right at the edge of a perfectly calm, totally silent lake. There are no waves rolling in, there's no wind rustling the trees, just still, glass-like water reflecting the sky. It's an eerily peaceful scene, right? Literally the exact picture of tranquility.
Okay, let's dive into this because I want you to take that peaceful image in your head and just completely shatter it. Imagine that exact same still lake suddenly, without warning, releasing a massive, invisible cloud that just kills everything in its path. I mean, it sounds completely impossible, right? Like a lake that explodes? No way. But the terrifying truth here, it isn't impossible at all. There's this really stark contrast at the core of what we're looking at today. On one hand, you have our normal expectation of lakes, right? They're peaceful, they're life-giving, they're safe. But on the other hand, we have the terrifying reality of Lake Nyos over in Cameroon. It is truly one of the most dangerous natural places on Earth, and it's all because of what it sits directly on top of, an ancient volcanic crater. So it's quite literally a ticking time bomb disguised as a serene little body of water. To really wrap our heads around just how dangerous this reality is, we have to look back a few decades. In 1986, something completely unimaginable happened to the communities living around this area. It was the middle of the night, and without a single warning sign from the natural world, no ground tremors, no strange weather patterns, nothing, the lake just turned entirely deadly. Over 1,700. Just let that number sink in for a second. Because of what happened that night, over 1,700 people, along with thousands of animals, died in a single, sweeping event. And honestly, the most chilling part of the source material we are examining today is exactly how it happened. People in the nearby villages didn't even realize a disaster was unfolding right outside their doors. They simply fell asleep, and they never woke up. So, the crucial point is actually what's completely missing from this disaster. There was no fire. There was no lava flowing down a mountainside. There wasn't even the sound of an explosion to jolt people awake. When we think of volcanic or geological disasters, we're totally conditioned to expect these massive sensory warnings, the rumbling, the heat, all of it. But at Lake Nyos, there were absolutely none. It was just a silent, invisible killer. Here are the exact mechanics of that tragedy. What Lake Nyos released that night was a massive cloud of carbon dioxide, or CO2 gas. This invisible cloud spread across the nearby villages at incredibly high speeds. Now, because carbon dioxide is heavier than the standard air we breathe, it didn't just float up and away into the atmosphere. Instead, it hugged the ground. It rolled over the landscape, sinking down into the valleys and right into people's homes. And it silently replaced all the life-giving oxygen. It literally suffocated its victims while they were sleeping. In this explainer, it's vital we put a name to this terrifying event. This phenomenon is scientifically known as a limnic eruption. It's an extremely rare natural phenomenon where dissolved gas suddenly and violently erupts from deep lake water. And get this, only a very, very small handful of lakes in the entire world possess the specific geological conditions required for this to even happen in the first place. Out of that small, exclusive group, Lake Nyos is by far the most infamous. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how a limnic eruption builds up. Let's walk through it together. So, deep beneath the lake, magma is continuously releasing carbon dioxide gas. Over time, all this gas dissolves into the deep water at the very bottom of the lake. The source text actually uses a perfect metaphor for this. Imagine shaking up a soda bottle, right? But keeping the lid tightly sealed. The pressure builds and builds and builds at the bottom, until finally the seal breaks, resulting in that explosive yet totally silent release of deadly gas. Which brings us to the most pressing question, right? Now that we understand the geophysics of the disaster, can it happen again? Like, if the magma is always down there, is another 1986 inevitable? Well, the short answer is yes, it absolutely can happen again. But the good news is scientists and engineers have been actively fighting back to prevent it. Let's take a look at their incredibly clever engineering solution. Remember our soda bottle analogy? A limnic eruption is that shaken soda bottle just exploding violently all at once. To stop this from happening, engineers have installed these special pipes deep down into Lake Nyos. These pipes continuously and slowly release the trapped carbon dioxide gas, safely reducing the pressure over time. So instead of a massive explosion, it's basically the equivalent of carefully, slowly unscrewing the lid of that shaken soda bottle, so the gas just hisses out safely into the air.
Now the pipes are definitely working, and the pressure inside the lake is reducing. But there is a massive caveat here. We have to remember the very first step of our whole process. That magma deep underground. Because that magma is continuously releasing gas, the underlying danger isn't completely gone. Actually, far from it. Lake Nyos remains a highly monitored environment. As long as the geology beneath it stays active, the threat has to be actively managed, day in and day out.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this really haunting final thought presented in the text. Sometimes the most dangerous disasters are the ones you can't see coming. Lake Nyos serves as a stark, tragic reminder that the Earth still hides immense forces that we barely even understand. The very places that look the most peaceful, the most serene, they can actually be harboring the deadliest secrets right beneath the surface. So, I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. If a perfectly still lake in Cameroon can hide a silent, invisible killer, what other invisible forces are hiding in perfectly calm places right now? The natural world is full of fascinating and, let's be honest, sometimes completely terrifying mysteries just waiting to be uncovered. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep questioning the world around you.